Ryan hesitated. Then, with a reluctant chuckle, he shifted closer, letting their shoulders brush. The moment their bodies touched, he felt her relax, as though the simple act of closeness anchored her. They sat like that for a long time, neither speaking, just listening to the storm rage outside and the steady rhythm of each other's breaths. Finally, the Lyra spoke, her voice trembling slightly. "I thought I was going to die out there, before you found me. I was so cold, so tired. And then, you appeared. You saved me, Ryan. No matter how much you try to deny it, you gave me life again." His throat tightened. He turned his head, meeting her gaze, and saw the sheen of unshed tears in her eyes. Something inside him broke, the wall he had built, the resistance he had clung to. He lifted his hand, slowly, uncertainly, and brushed his thumb against her cheek, wiping away a tear that had escaped. Her skin was warm beneath his touch, her breath catching as her lips parted. She leaned into his hand, closing her eyes for a moment as though savoring the contact. When she opened them again, their faces were only inches apart. The firelight danced in her eyes, and he felt the magnetic pull between them, undeniable and dangerous. "Ryan," she whispered, her voice shaking, "may I stay with you truly? Not just for survival, but because I feel safe only when you are near." He swallowed hard, his heart pounding. For 5 nights he had fought against this moment, told himself it was impossible. But now, staring into her eyes, he knew the truth. He didn't just want her safe. He wanted her here with him. He leaned forward, closing the space between them, his lips brushing hers in the softest, most tentative kiss. It was gentle, hesitant, filled with the fear of breaking something fragile. But when she responded, when her hands lifted to rest against his chest, her touch trembling yet eager, everything else melted away. The storm, the cold, the doubts. There was only this moment, only her. The kiss deepened slowly, tender but charged with all the emotions they had held back. His arms wrapped around her, pulling her closer against him, while her body molded into his warmth as though she had always belonged there. When they finally pulled back, breathless, her forehead rested against his. "You're not alone anymore," she whispered. "Neither are you," he murmured, his hand stroking gently along her back. The fire crackled, the storm howled, but inside the cabin, they had found something stronger than both, the beginning of love. The storm outside did not end that night. The wind roared and the snow fell, piling against the cabin until the windows glowed faintly with reflected white. But inside, something warmer than any fire had taken root. Ryan had kissed her. He had crossed the line he had so stubbornly guarded for years. And instead of fear, he felt peace. The Lyra lay curled against his side now, her head resting on his shoulder beneath the blanket they shared. The markings on her skin glimmered faintly, shifting with the rhythm of her breathing. He watched them for a long time, mesmerized by the living constellations etched across her. For so long he had believed the stars were out of reach. Now, one of them was here, in his arms. "Ryan?" Her voice was quiet, uncertain. He stroked her hair gently. You keep looking at me as though I'll disappear if you blink." He gave a soft, rueful laugh. "Maybe I'm afraid you will." She lifted her head, eyes searching his. "Why?" His chest tightened. He wasn't used to questions like this, questions that forced him to open wounds he had buried. But the warmth in her gaze was steady, patient. "Because everyone else has," he admitted. His voice was low, gravelly. "Family, friends. War took some, distance took others. In the end, it was just me. And I thought, maybe that's how it was meant to be." He swallowed. "Then you came along." Her hand slid to his chest, over his heart. "I will not vanish," she said firmly. "Not unless you send me away. My people, we don't share warmth like this lightly." To sleep beside someone, to breathe their breath, she hesitated, cheeks darkening with a flush of silver. "It is sacred." Ryan's heart skipped. "Sacred?" She nodded. "It means you are chosen. That your lives are bound, not just for survival, but for trust. For something deeper." Her words settled into him like seeds in fertile ground. He tightened his arm around her, pulling her closer. I don't know if I deserve something that deep, he whispered. You do, she said simply. Because you cared when you could have walked away. You carried me. You fed me. You gave me fire. That is more than most men would have done. He let out a shaky breath. The Lyra. She tilted her head, studying him. You're trembling. Ryan laughed softly, though it was tinged with nerves. Because I'm not used to this. To wanting something, someone, so badly. Her expression softened, her fingers brushing along his jaw. Then let it be slow. We don't need to race the storm. It will end. And we will still be here. The words were a balm he hadn't known he needed. He lowered his forehead to hers, breathing her in. For a long time, they sat like that, wrapped in silence. But it was not the empty silence of before. It was full of shared heartbeats, of unspoken promises of warmth. The Lyra's hand drifted to his, their fingers tangling. Her skin was cooler than his, but somehow it only made the contact more intimate. Tell me about Earth, she said after a while. Not this frozen place, but the places you loved. Ryan smiled faintly. Loved, he thought for a moment. There was a lake near my childhood home. Summers there were warm. I'd spend hours swimming, fishing, just breathing. The water was clear, the sun golden. It felt endless. Her eyes lit with wonder. It sounds like a dream. On my world, water is scarce. A lake would be a treasure beyond price. He chuckled. Maybe one day I'll take you there. Show you what it's like. Her smile was soft, but it carried a weight of longing. And maybe one day, I'll take you to the crystal fields of my home. When the moons rise, they shine brighter than any fire. You'd like them, I think. Their imaginations carried them away, two exiles weaving a tapestry of places they might never see, yet suddenly believing it possible. The storm continued, but in that small cabin, they built a world of their own. Hours passed. The fire burned low, casting gentler shadows. Ryan shifted, lying back against the cot's worn pillow. The Lyra hesitated, then followed, resting half atop him, her cheek against his chest. He froze, then exhaled, wrapping his arms around her. You're so warm, she murmured, eyes drifting closed. You feel like starlight, he replied before he could stop himself. Her lips curved into a sleepy smile. Then let me keep you from the dark. And with that, she slipped into sleep, her breathing steady and calm. Ryan stared at the ceiling for a long time, his heart full to the brim. For the first time in years, he wasn't afraid of tomorrow. The storm that had battered the world for days began to weaken. The furious howls of wind softened to a tired sigh, and through the frost-coated windows, faint light bled into the cabin. Ryan stirred awake, his arms still wrapped around the Lyra. For a moment, he wondered if it had all been a dream, her silver-marked skin against his, her steady breathing, the warmth of her body tucked against him. But when she shifted slightly and let out a small, contented hum, he knew it was real. And it terrified him. Because for the first time in years, he had something to lose. The Lyra's eyes fluttered open. She looked up at him, her lips curving into the gentlest of smiles. Good morning, Ryan. His throat tightened. Morning. She studied him with quiet intensity, as if she could read every thought tangled inside him. You are afraid. He exhaled, eyes closing briefly. Of course I am. You're everything I never thought I'd find. And I don't want to mess it up. Her fingers slid along his jaw, cool and delicate. Love is not about perfection. It is about choosing again and again, even when the storm rages. The words pierced him deeper than any blade could. He searched her face, the silver glow of her markings, the sincerity in her alien eyes. And in that moment, he knew she wasn't just a guest in his cabin. She wasn't just a survivor. She was his. And he was hers. The Lyra, he whispered, his voice rough, I choose you. Even if the world falls apart, even if tomorrow never comes, I choose you. Her breath caught. For a heartbeat, she looked like she might cry. Instead, she leaned forward, pressing her forehead to his. And I, you. Across stars and storms. Their lips met, slower this time, deeper, like a vow sealed in warmth. The kiss lingered, unraveling every wall Ryan had built. He pulled her closer, feeling her heart race against his. The fire had burned low, but their own heat was enough. She shifted, resting her hand over his chest. "Your heart is strong," she whispered. "It has carried so much pain. Let me share the weight." His hand cupped hers, pressing it tighter to his chest. "You already are." They lay like that for what felt like forever, exploring each other in soft touches and quiet words. There was no rush, no desperation, only the slow, steady rhythm of two souls finding home in each other. When the storm finally ceased, silence blanketed the cabin. A silence not of emptiness, but of peace. Ryan stood, pulling her gently with him. "Come on. I want to show you something." The Lyra blinked, curious but trusting. Wrapped in a blanket, they pushed open the cabin door together. The world outside was transformed. Snow covered everything in a glittering sheet, reflecting the pale dawn light. The forest stood silent, branches heavy with white, as though holding its breath. The Lyra gasped softly, her eyes wide with wonder. "It's beautiful." Ryan looked at her, not the snow. "Yeah, it is." She caught his gaze, realizing his meaning. A blush tinted her silver-marked skin. Slowly, she reached for his hand. He took it, their fingers locking as naturally as if they'd always been meant to fit. For the first time in years, Ryan didn't feel alone. And for the first time since she'd landed on this frozen world, the Lyra didn't feel lost. Together, they stepped into the snow. Not as strangers, not as survivors, but as something more.
Like and subscribe.